Revelation 1772. From the 10th of January 1941. Life in eternity. Connections. Reunion. The surroundings are indescribably attractive, which a soul that has departed from life in faith in Jesus Christ now has to stay in. It can be called a paradise compared to the earthly valley. It is an extraordinarily beautiful region which nevertheless also reminds of earthly realms again, although it has an incomparably happy effect on the soul. What appeared particularly appealing to the soul on earth it will certainly find in its present surroundings, only far more beautiful and perfect. The soul can live the same life in the beyond as it did on earth, providing this has brought it redemption. Thus, as soon as earthly life did not hinder spiritual maturity, it can dwell in the spiritual atmosphere, and thus its happy state will consist of the pleasures it longed for on earth. However, advanced souls usually no longer desire such a stay. They are already too much alienated from the world because they were spiritually seeking. Therefore, this soul's present environment will be the kingdom of light, and the earthly children have little access to this kingdom, that is, it cannot be made visible to them. They are inconceivable creations of magical abundance of light which lack all earthly works of creation. The soul is guided into the new home in a truly caring way by the beings of light coming towards it. Everything around it is radiant light, and the spiritual eye sees the most peculiar creations of gigantic beauty, always adapted to the previous feeling, so that the soul must therefore be happy because it sees and hears and is allowed to possess what gives it greatest bliss. And it will never enjoy happiness alone, but beings will always be together with it, which are to have the same feeling, the same spiritual maturity, and fulfill the same tasks. This spiritual concordance of the life of feeling of several souls enraptures the soul to the utmost. So the souls which are spiritually on the same level join together intimately and thus again form a harmonious whole without any discord or spiritual dispute. But it is seldom to be assumed that such a soul will see again many of its relatives who have gone home before. For they seldom all had the same spiritual aspiration, and thus the surroundings of these souls are also quite different. And according to their abundance of light they also stay close to earth, that is, with their spiritually related souls. Thus all these souls can also find earthly creations around them. However, only those souls will long for them which are still attached to earth and its goods. Hence the descriptions of such spiritual reunions are not always to be regarded as erroneous. It is just that sphere which should not be regarded as a goal for an aspiring soul. What is comprehensible to people on earth is still very earthly, very human. But what goes beyond it is again not so comprehensible to people. These spheres are so overwhelmingly beautiful and harmonious that their inhabitants do not like to return to earth and also rarely approach their relatives, since this closeness is an unfamiliar atmosphere for them which they leave again as quickly as possible and turn to their actual home, which offers them so many wonderful things and wherever more radiant light is spread through the union with spiritually mature beings, and this is therefore inconceivable for earthly children, who still pay far too much attention to the world themselves to be able to penetrate the purely spiritual realm. How life in eternity takes place after death can only be conveyed to very few through spiritual vision, but this much is certain, that only rarely the same connections are made in the beyond which existed on earth. For in the rarest of cases the same spiritual attitude, the same spiritual maturity and the same eager striving towards God can be found amongst people who belong together on earth. Consequently only the same spiritual relationship of maturity will result in the unification of beings in eternity. But these can be earthly, completely alien human souls which find each other there in order to be infinitely happy through the performance of works of love which apply to the still imperfect beings on earth and in the beyond again. Amen.